Do you believe it? Week 4 is already here, this time on the Coach's Cut. Coach Tice is telling us whether the Colts are legit or a fluke, who he's taken in Chiefs and Ravens, plus the 3 things the Raiders need to do to take down the Bears. And later, former head coach Norv Turner joins the show. It's all going down right now on the Coach's Cut with Mike Tice. Hello and welcome to the Coach's Cut. I'm Mike Davis, excited to be here with you. Now it's time to meet the star of the show, playing tight end in the NFL for 14 seasons with the Seattle Seahawks, Washington Redskins, and the Minnesota Vikings. This 6'7" former college quarterback went on to become the tight end and offensive line coach for 5 franchises, eventually becoming the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. It's the one, the only, Mike Tice. Happy to be here with you, Coach.
Good to see you, Michael.
Let's do some Jimmies and Joes. The Michael never gets old. All right, so perhaps the biggest matchup of Week 4 is the showdown between the Chiefs and the Ravens. What do the Chiefs and the Ravens have in common? Well, they both are teams with Super Bowl aspirations, and unfortunately, they both have a disappointing record of 1-2, and one of them is going to walk away from Sunday sitting at 1-3. So, Coach, which team do you feel better about right now?
Well, I'm amazed at what you just said, that one of these teams is going to walk away 1-3, because really I feel good about both teams. I don't feel great about either. Let's start with the Chiefs. The Chiefs, Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator, they're struggling a little bit right now, but Spagnuolo is going to do his best work when he starts getting game film to look at, and he can look at the tendencies of the upcoming offense. So that'll help them out a lot. Plus getting Christian Fulton back and moving him into the slot, moving McDuffie back into the slot is definitely going to help them defensively. Offensively, Mike, they're lacking speed. They get Worthy back possibly this week after that injury in the first game of the year. Rashee Rice is still on his 6-week suspension. Thornton's starting to make some big plays. He's got 2 touchdowns, the kid from Baylor. But they're lacking speed on the field, and until they get some speed out there, they're going to be in trouble. Now let's go to their run game. Their run game is not that good and really hasn't been that good. The running backs have no runs of 12 yards. Yeah. The only one who has 12-yard runs is the quarterback, and that's terrible. They're 31st in the league in rushing yards after contact. So they have some issues, and but I think the Chiefs can get back on track because they know how to win, and they've done it, and they've been there. Yeah, and when you have Andy Reid, Mahomes doesn't hurt. So let's talk about the quarterbacks a little bit more. So Mahomes, of course, 30 years old, 2-time MVP winner, 3-time Super Bowl champ. And Lamar Jackson, 28 years old, 2 MVPs. He's done it all but win that big one. So there's Lamar believers out there, Coach, and Lamar haters. Does Lamar have what it takes to win a Super Bowl in your estimation? Well, Lamar is doing everything he can offensively. I mean, they're number 1 in scoring at 37 points a game after 3 games. They could have gone to the Super Bowl last year if the tight end makes a catch on a 2-point conversion with 1:33. Who knows what would happen? Yeah, and my answer is yes. I do think that he has what it takes. But if the Ravens can't stop the run, Mike, they have no shot at going to the Super Bowl. They are awful stopping the run. In fact, out of duo, that's like a trips formation. Okay. They're giving up 7.2 yards a play, a rushing play. That's awful. You're not going to the Super Bowl with those kinds of numbers. Wow. Okay, and that's something really unique to hear because, weird because everybody thinks of the Ravens and how good they are defensively. But now let's check this thing, Coach, because this is an interesting graphic I want to put up for everybody at home. So the Chiefs, when it comes to their offensive rankings under Mahomes since 2018, in terms of how many points they're scoring per game, you can see 2018, that first year, 35.3 points per game. Then the following year, it goes down to 28, then 29.6, then 28.2, and 29.2. All good, but then in 2023, it drops to 21.8, then 22.6, and now this year, 20 points per game. So this is a team once known for a high-powered offensive machine, and things have really taken a sharp turn in the past 3 years. That steep decline, Coach, what has been the biggest reason for that decline? Well, we talked about it earlier when we talked about the Chiefs. They lack speed, and they don't have the speed on the outside. They lost a playmaker in Hill after 4 years. Tyreek Hill had 43 touchdowns and 71 big plays. And what I mean by big plays, they're defined in the stats as 20-yard receptions. That's how many they lost when he left. Also, the production out of Travis Kelce has gone down. From 18 to 22, those years you're talking about, those good years, he had 47 touchdowns. That's almost 9.5 touchdowns a year. In the last 2 years, he's had 8 total touchdowns.
Wow.
Now, I want to say this, in 2023, in July, he started dating T. Swift. Is there anything to that? I would just happen to say that they're taking him out of the game more. He's gotten older. Not taking him off the field, taking him out of the game. Defenses are taking him out of the game because they don't have the speed on the field.
So when you lose that touchdown production from Hill and from Kelce, it's pretty, glaring. It's a stark difference here, and you can see. All right, so guys, we're just getting started here on the Coach's Cut with Mike Tice. Next up, Coach Tice sits down with a fellow coaching legend, the offensive mastermind behind those Cowboys Super Bowls in the 90s. After the break, Norv Turner joins Mike Tice in conversation.
This week I had a chance to talk to an old friend, 3-time NFL head coach Norv Turner. Well, Norv and I never worked together, but we became friends because we both loved horses. We even owned a horse together, won a race, just one. Here's my conversation with the great Norv Turner. So you're a 3-time head coach, and I want to talk about the teams that you coach and give me a little update on, how you think they'll fare moving on. You have the Redskins/Commanders, who are 2-1, off to a pretty good start. You have the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders now. You were the head coach when they were the Oakland Raiders. They're 1-2. They're off to a little bit of a shaky start with Pete. And then you coached the San Diego Chargers, which are now the LA Chargers, and they're off to a great start, 3-0 with Harbaugh. Maybe talk for us on those 3 teams, and how do you think they're going to fare moving forward?
The Commanders, they had such a great finish last year, and I know they're 2-1, but I do believe they're off to they're not as strong as people expected. Obviously, the quarterback banged up a little bit. I think it's one of those things. You come out of camp, your expectations are so high, and reality sets in. Every week, it's hard to win in this league. And those first 4 weeks, to me, you're getting your footing, you're getting a feel for everything, and after that, it's pretty much the same for everyone. Who improves over that next 4-week period and stays in it and progresses to where they want to be, so they're competitive in their division.
I don't think people realize that, especially when you have a lot of changes either on the staff or in the lineup with free agency or guys leaving. It's hard to have that rhythm, especially in the trenches. Those guys playing together. I think it takes a little bit of time to like you said, find your footing.
No question. And there's also you have success. You have great success. You're marked a little bit, and teams, they spend a little more time preparing, and they get ready to play next year.
So here's the thing I'd like to hear your side of. So starting 0-3 is not a good thing. Only 6 teams have made the playoffs starting 0-3 in the National Football League, period. 6 teams. And the last one, I believe, was the Chargers in 2018. So what is your message as a head coach when you walk into that locker room, you walk into that meeting room? What is your message this week to those players?
Well, to me, the first thing you got to do is address what's keeping you from winning. I mean, there's things that you have to identify. Is it your red zone defense? Is it your red zone offense? Are you turning the ball over? Are you not creating turnovers? Those are the things, that get in the way. And then you've got to address those things with your team and say, hey, we're going to have a special period on red zone, both sides of the ball. We've got to get better there if we want to turn this thing around and get it going. The good thing now to me is there's 17 games. You've lost 3, but you have 14 games left, so you can mathematically change. To me, it's the same thing when you start 3-0. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's 14 games. If you can win your games, you win 10, you probably make the playoffs. If you can win 8 of your next games, so 8 out of 14, 11 wins almost guarantees the playoffs, and that's a good feeling to have that little cushion.
17-game schedule, it certainly has changed that mathematics. And I do think if you can get on a little bit of a run, you can get yourself back into it. And so those teams that started 0-3 are the Texans, the Titans, the Saints, the Dolphins, and both New York teams, ironically. Which of those teams do you think has a chance to get that thing going again and get back on track?
There's no question to me. It's Houston. They have a strong defense. They've made the playoffs. The quarterbacks, to me, are an outstanding player. And their division isn't a strong division. Indianapolis is stepping up right now and going. So at least you have a chance to be successful in your division.
And folks are off to a great start, though. They're doing a great job there. They really have. Well, the quarterback's playing great, and they haven't turned the ball over, and that's the key, So, speaking of quarterbacks,
and I think this about the Colts. You talk about the 6 undefeated teams. I think they're in the best shape of all of them because the strength of schedule in their division, and they're the most balanced team. The change on the defensive coordinator, they're a lot better. They obviously can run the ball with Taylor. They're doing the things that Daniel Jones does best. They're not trying to have him do everything. They're not trying to revolutionize the game. I think Shane Steichen, who, by the way, worked for me for 5 years in San Diego, I think he's just doing a great job putting the thing together.
They are balanced. They're running the ball. They're not that. They lead the league in turnover differential at +5. They're just doing a tremendous, tremendous job. What about quarterbacks? You're a quarterback whisperer, as they say nowadays. What of these young quarterbacks, and there's a lot of them, who of these young quarterbacks are you excited about, and what traits excite you?
You say quarterback whisperer. I was more of a quarterback hollerer. I wasn't shy about getting in their ear and making sure they understood exactly what we wanted. I think it's just so hard to evaluate these guys because when you're young, you're going to have ups and downs. The problem with the league right now, and probably the way it's covered, is a guy goes out and has a real good game, and they want to anoint him as the next superstar. Well, you're going to have ups and downs as a young quarterback. I like Penix a lot. He came out and played good early. Obviously, he didn't play very well last week. Dart, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I went and watched the Jets and Giants practice 2 days in a row, and he was probably the most impressive player on the field. And it's 3 weeks in, but I think it's the right thing to play him and let him get the experience. The young guys, though, they're physically very gifted and ready. It's just such a different game from college football. There's adjustment. I think you see that with Caleb Williams. He's slowly understanding the speed of this game, the urgency of getting the ball out of your hand, live to play another day. And if you want to see who won the games, look at the guys who had the fewest negative plays. And that's what's happened to Daniel Jones. He's always made plays, but he always had 2 or 3 bad plays that kept them from winning. He's eliminated those plays, hopefully for good.
To check out the full interview with Norv, go to our YouTube page at Silver State Sports.
All right, after the break, Coach Tice is taking Raiders fans to therapy. Yes, a complete breakdown of what went wrong last week versus the Commanders and what they need to do in Week 4 to beat the Bears. Welcome back to the Coach's Cut with Mike Tice. Mike Davis here with you. So, Coach, Week 3 was an ugly one for the Raiders, losing a blowout on the road to the Commanders, 41-24. On top of all that, they faced a backup quarterback. So, what went wrong in this one?
Well, we said let's run the ball efficiently and more often. They did run a little bit more often, but not efficiently. They're 30th in rushing yards. They're 30th in the yards per attempt. And they have 1 rushing touchdown. So they got to get that run game going. Create turnovers. They're still in the minus in the turnover ratio at -1, but they did win the battle last week. We're +1 because they caused a fumble and they didn't have any turnovers. Create explosives. The only explosives that I saw that mattered were in the fourth quarter in garbage time. They had 165 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. So they weren't there. And the game records, they pretty much shut down. McLaurin and Samuels, they had 8 catches for 103 yards, no touchdowns.
Okay. All right, so now the Raiders will look to reset this week against the surging Bears and Caleb Williams, who are coming off a 31-14 win over the Cowboys. What are the 3 things the Raiders need to do to secure that W on Sunday?
Well, I'm sorry, Michael, but like I said, I'm going to sound repetitious, but they have to stop the run this week. They got to do a better job of tackling. We saw a lot of missed tackles last week, so we got to do a better job of tackling. I'd like to see them run the ball more. I'd like to see the stats say 30-plus rushes.
Yes.
And I think that'll be helpful to help our offensive line out, help the Raiders' offensive line. Let's get to the plus side of the turnover ratio. We already said they're -1. Let's end up the game at least +1. That means they're going to win the ratio in this game and create explosives. I'd like to see some 10-yard runs created in the running game and not so much worrying about the bombs away in the passing game, and develop some rhythm and help this offensive line out. They have some game records. You just talked about Caleb, NFC Offensive Player of the Week, 4 touchdowns. For the first time in his career, he was not sacked.
Wow, so that's big time stuff. And tell us, because a quarterback, former #1 overall pick, constantly under pressure most of his rookie season, but something had to go different last week. 298 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. What was the difference there?
No Michael Parsons.
No pressure.
So
when you're not getting sacked, it helps.
Yeah, well, they don't chase him. They didn't chase him out of the pocket as much as he's been chased out of the pocket. When he gets out of the pocket, he makes some plays, but he tends to throw some high balls and not complete them. He was able to stay in the pocket. He was able to work his progressions. He had 4 touchdowns. He played arguably his best game as a pro.
Definitely.
So he's going to come in with a lot of confidence, and so are the Bears.
All right, it's good to see him not bolting and staying in the pocket and looking downfield. Guys, don't go anywhere. It's Odds and Ends when we return. Welcome back. Now it's time for Odds and Ends. We're going to dissect the success of the undefeated Indianapolis Colts. But first, Coach, let's start with your baby, the turnover differential. Give us an update of what that looks like around the league.
Well, the Colts, who we're going to talk about here in a second, are +5. They're tied with the Jaguars and Steelers. And, of course, we know the Colts are undefeated. So that's nice. Those teams are 7-2 combined. -1 or worse, Mike. Dolphins and Cowboys are -5. They're 1-5.
Wow.
And then, of course, we have 0, and that's 6-6, staying at that 500. So.
Okay, so anybody at home, if you want to learn football, you just got to remember this turnover thing.
And
That's
we've heard a lot of people talk about
hey,
it.
Norv Turner, everybody keeps saying it's the through line. We keep saying. All right, so I'd be remiss, Coach, if I didn't say we got to talk a little bit about special teams and my Philadelphia Eagles last week. A lot of craziness. The Eagles, though, in particular, had 2 blocked field goals, and that last one, just plain sexy. All 6'6", 336 pounds of Jordan Davis blocking a game-winning field goal, returning it 61 yards for the touchdown. And, I mean, man, look at that guy. He reached a speed of 18 miles an hour. What did you think about that play and those 2 blocked field goals from that game alone?
Well, Mike, I think it's great that they had the 2 blocked field goals, but I have never described a 6'6", 300-plus pounder as sexy. So I know you're an Eagles fan, and I'm happy for you.
It was sexy to me.
Well, they felt, of course, it was sexy to all Eagles fans. E-A-G-L-E-S. But no, it's great. And for the first time since 1991, there were 4 blocked field goals in the fourth quarter. Of course, a couple of them made a big difference. The Browns and you saw the Jets. They unfortunately didn't win the game, but the Rams had 2 blocked, and just awful special teams. You need to sew up your kicking game and do a better job. But let me give you an interesting stat, and hopefully we have enough time for the Colts stuff. Is in the first 3 games of the season, 15 games were decided in the last 3 minutes or overtime. That's the most in National Football League history.
So a lot of close games. You want to watch that TV. Don't go anywhere for the restroom or anything.
Stay there.
And keep watching us as well. Real quickly, Coach, so the Colts might be the hottest team in the NFL, perhaps. No one saw this coming, sitting at first in the AFC South at 3-0. Are they legit or are they just a fluke?
Well, they're off to a great start, and it's all because of the quarterback. No turnovers, sacked only twice. He's the first player in the history of the National Football League over 3 games to have 3 TD passes, 3 rushing TDs, and 0 turnovers. Yeah, that's an amazing stat. But here's another one. They average 50.3 yards per drive. That's 10 yards better than the next best team. And they only punted 0 times in the first 2 games of the season. The running back leads the league in rushing. The tight end, who we've been talking about the first couple of shows, is number 5 in the yards after catch. I'm just really high on him right now. And Cam Bynum on defense is tied for the league lead with 2 interceptions. Right now, the Colts are playing as good a football as anybody. And I hope I don't jinx them, because we're going to have my friend Chris Ballard, general manager, on during their bye in November, and I don't want to screw it up.
Hey, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. He's done such a great job constructing this team, especially when a lot of people are writing off a guy like Danny Dimes in New York. He's resurrected his career in Indianapolis, so exciting stuff there. Coach, real quick, let's talk about this. Last week we said you got hurt on the sideline once.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened to Dan Quinn, though?
Bloody.
Last week. I think we got a picture of this. I mean, so this happens kind of frequently. What did you think about that? Oh my God!
Look at him. Yeah. Well, I went down and we won. He went down and he won. And the Rams head coach McVay went down and they won. So maybe there's something to it.
Hey, you know what? Can you throw me down the stairs after the show? Maybe I'll get a win after. I need that for this weekend. Thanks so much, Coach. For James, editor Jess, I'm Mike Davis, and Coach Tice. We'll see you next time here on the Coach's Cut with Mike Tice.